Hello, algebra students, and welcome back to another video lesson as we begin to learn another form of some of these types of equations called factored form, and how we can use the factor form along with the zero product property to help us solve or find x-intercepts, solutions to quadratics. And so again, we've been working with these two forms quite a bit for the last week now, vertex form and standard form. And as we mentioned yesterday, and I'm just going to kind of mention it a couple more times, that vertex form really helps us with vertex. Opens up or down, tells us if we have a max or minimum value. We can then find the axis of symmetry. We can identify the range, the domain, right? So that vertex form does help us quite a bit with some relevant information that we've been using for most of the week. Also, standard form has helped us identify the y-intercept. Remember, it's out there at that c value. We can tell if it's going to open up or down based on the a value. And then we also said that it will help us find the x-intercepts of the graph. Typically, we were doing that with what was called quadratic formula. But we're going to move into something called factored form, where maybe we take, let me just try and find a marker. Maybe we take an equation that looks like this, x squared plus 6x plus, I don't know, 5. We'll just say 5. And we can break it into two factors, x plus 5 times x plus 1. Right? And this isn't something you've learned yet, how to break it down into the factors, but we can break it up into these two and use something called the zero product property. Now, I'm hoping that you know, if I ask you what is 5 times 0, that you know that equals 0. Or that if I ask you 100 times 0, that's 0. Or even if I were to ask you what is x times 0, that you know that is also 0, right? Anything times 0 gives us 0. And that's what this zero product property illustrates. If I have some piece here, which we'll call A, and I multiply by B, and I get an answer of 0, A times B is 0. We could say A is equal to 0, whatever that A part is, or that the B part is equal to 0, right? Either A could be a 0 because 0 times whatever I have over there equals 0, or the B part could be 0. And so factored form really follows this product property where, again, if I just had what I showed you on the other slide, x plus 5 equals, or x plus 5 times x plus 1, and I knew that that was equal to 0, right? This is my A value in parentheses. This is my B value over here, right? A times B, as long as this is equal to 0, then the whole thing is 0. If this parenthesis equals 0, then the whole problem equals 0. And that's what the zero product property illustrates. So let's look at an example where we are trying to solve the quantity x plus 4 times the quantity x minus 2 equals 0. These are called factors. They're already broken down. So either this parenthesis, right, I need that whole entire parenthesis to equal 0. So I got to figure out what x value I need. Or the second parenthesis, x minus 2, could equal 0. Right? Because if I get a 0 inside of this parenthesis, 0 times whatever I get over there will give me 0. And same thing vice versa, if I can get a 0 in here. So let's work on solving this one. X plus 4 equals 0. How do I get x by itself? We subtract 4. X equals negative 4. Or, and we got to solve that second parenthesis. X plus 2 is 0. I'm sorry, x minus 2 is 0. We need to add the 2 to both sides to solve. And therefore, x could equal 2. So either one of those would work. And if we try and check our answers for them, right, if I plug in a -4, -4 plus 4 times -4 minus 2. -4 plus 4 is 0, and 0 times -6 is equal to 0. So that checks. The -4 worked. Let's check 2. If I plug in a 2, 2 plus 4 times 2 minus 2, 6 times 0 is 0, so that one also worked. Right? So the goal is to take each factor, each parenthesis, and set it equal to 0 if the entire equation does. Let's look at one more. Now I have m out front times 3m minus 1 equals 0, and we're trying to solve. So one factor is this m. I can say m equals 0, because that's the only thing there. Or we can set that second parenthesis, 3m minus 1 equals 0. Notice there's nothing more for us to do here. M equals 0, so we're done. Now we've got to go through the algebra and solving this one. Add 1, and 3m equals 1. And then I want to divide by 3 to show that m equals 1/3. So we could say m equals 0 or 1/3. And those are also going to be x-intercepts when we get to the graphing part. Again, check your answer if you want. Plug in a 0. 0 times 0 minus 1. Well, 0 times whatever I get in there is going to be 0, so that one works. 1/3. Plug in a 1/3. 3 times 1/3 is 1. 1 minus 1 is 0, and 0 times whatever is out front is also going to be 0. So either of those answers. So factored form. Take the factors and set them equal to 0. You got about 8 or 10 problems to try today. See what you can do. If you have any questions, please make sure that you reach out. Otherwise, until next time, everyone, stay safe.